Welcome to the channel. Up next are amazing AI podcasters conjured by NotebookLM. They deep dive further into this video titled Trite, Rage War 1. The deep dives in this video are truly insightful, fun, and heartfelt. So grab a snack, sit back, and enjoy the video.
So let's start with the question that really gets to the heart of this entire world. You gotta wrap your head around this one to get what makes it all tick. How can a hero winning, saving the day, end up causing the total destruction of his city? Let's dig in. All right, to answer that, we have to go to a city called Trite. Think of this as ground zero. It's the stage where a pretty classic battle between good and evil is about to take a seriously dark and unexpected turn. So here are our players. On one side, you've got the good guys, the Jade Knights, led by a hero named Lott Sin. And on the other, the villainous Klurissa Cougar and her whole army of Cougarmen. It's a classic setup, right? The kind of superhero fight you've probably seen 100 times before. And after a massive, city-shaking battle, the heroes come out on top. The Jade Knights defeat Klurissa Cougar, and for a split second, it seems like the day is saved. But trust me, the real story is just getting started. Because in the aftermath, something is really wrong with our hero, Lott Sin. He isn't celebrating. He's not doing a victory lap. Instead, the source material says he's just so pumped with rage that it becomes this physical, uncontrollable force just building inside of him. All that adrenaline from the fight has kind of curdled into something else, something way more dangerous. And then, the unthinkable happens. That rage doesn't stay contained. It erupts from his body in a massive blast, like a psychic shockwave of pure emotion that just washes over the entire city. And what does it do? It makes everyone go absolutely crazy. Imagine your friendly neighbor, the local shopkeeper, suddenly consumed by this violent, irrational fury. The rage infects everyone, turning ordinary citizens into a crazed mob that starts to tear their own home and each other apart. This whole devastating event gets a name, Rage War 1. It wasn't a war against some outside invader. Nope, it was basically a civil war, fueled by a hero's own emotional fallout, and it led to the city of Trite being almost completely destroyed. You can really see the full tragic domino effect here. A heroic victory directly leads to a rage blast. That blast causes citywide destruction, which forces the survivors to flee in what they called the Great Migration. An entire civilization just uprooted by a single, uncontrollable emotional outburst. But as awful as all that destruction was, what grew from the ashes is actually pretty astonishing. This wasn't an ending. It was a violent, super chaotic, and, believe it or not, an incredibly fertile new beginning. The survivors of Rage War 1 didn't just find new places to live, they became pioneers. They spread out and founded multiple, incredible new cities, each one born from the memory, and probably the trauma, of the home they just lost. And the depth of this new world is just incredible. I mean, these aren't just names on a map. Each city has its own completely distinct theme, a full, fleshed-out history, and even its own fiercely competitive local economy with unique currencies. That level of detail makes this world feel so lived in from the get-go. And to bring these places to life, each one has a city guide. You can think of it like a travel guide for a fictional universe. They detail everything from local businesses to signature food recipes, and even, as the source notes, extremely funny and very controversial information. So you know these cities have secrets, local legends, and a real personality. So we've seen destruction and we've seen creation. But all of this, the battle, the rage, the migration, the new cities, was just the catalyst for something so much bigger. It was the birth of an entire universe. And this is the crucial point, right here. Rage War 1 was the big bang for this entire fictional reality. The short story universe isn't just about the cities that rose from Trite's ashes. It is a sprawling cosmos filled with new planets, a blend of magic and science, new heroes and villains, advanced robots, incredible tech, and a massive cast of characters, the whole shebang, all from one man's really bad day. So that leaves us with a final, pretty provocative thought to chew on. When a universe is born from an act of unintentional, hero-fueled destruction, what does that say about the world that comes after? Is it forever tainted by that violent beginning, or is it defined by the resilience and incredible creativity that came next? And with that question in mind, we'll leave you with a direct welcome from Vandale, the sole creator of this entire world. It's a personal invitation to explore a universe that was literally born from the rubble of a hero's worst day. Thanks for checking out this explainer.
We're diving deep into the origin story of what's called the short story universe.
Yeah.
It's this massive, sprawling, fictional cosmos created by an author named Vandale. And specifically, we're focusing on the founding text. It's a set of excerpts titled Trite. Rage War 1.
Rage War 1.
Yeah.
Trite, which is an interesting name choice right off the bat, I think.
Yeah.
Well, trite usually means something that's lacking in freshness or effectiveness because of constant use, like excessive repetition, a cliche.
Oh, right. So the city itself is literally a cliche.
Or perhaps it represents the cliche superhero world before everything goes wrong. It's the standard setting. And in this standard setting, we have a superhero team called the Jade Knights.
Jade Knights.
Good.
Which I'm picturing green armor, very noble, very classic.
Very standard.
Right. And they're led by a guy, okay, we have to talk about this name. The leader is named Lott Sin.
Lott Sin.
That feels kind of heavy-handed, doesn't it? Like, is it a lot of sin or maybe a biblical reference to Lot?
It definitely feels like a warning label.
Yeah.
I mean, if your city's savior is named Lott Sin, you might want to run a background check.
Sure.
It immediately implies that this character is carrying a heavy burden, or maybe an inherent flaw right from the start. He isn't Captain Virtue, he is Lott Sin.
And he's fighting a villain with maybe my favorite name in all of fiction. Her name is Klurissa Cougar.
It's very evocative.
It is. And her henchmen, they're explicitly called the Cougarmen.
You really have to appreciate the directness of that branding.
No subtlety at all.
None. It's not the Shadow Syndicate or the Dark Legion. It is Klurissa Cougar and the Cougarmen. It feels like a 1960s band or a very specific type of Silver Age comic book villainy where the theme is just everything.
So are they like actual cat people? Or just guys running around in cougar-themed spandex?
The text kind of leaves that to the imagination, but given the rest of the universe, I honestly wouldn't rule out actual human-cougar hybrids.
Fair point.
But the key here is the hierarchy. You have the named villain, and you have the nameless mass of Cougarmen. It's your classic setup for a massive street brawl.
So, the Jade Knights, led by Lott Sin, are fighting Klurissa and the Cougarmen in the streets of Trite. And here's the thing. The Jade Knights win.
Yep.
The source text is very clear on this. It literally says, the Jade Knights defeated Klurissa Cougar.
And this right here is where the narrative pivot happens.
Yeah.
In a normal story, this is where Lott Sin wipes his brow, makes some witty quip, and hands Klurissa over to the cops. But Vandale, the creator, he focuses entirely on Lott Sin's internal biology.
Yeah, the text says Lott was so pumped with rage.
Pumped, notice that word. It suggests a physiological reaction, adrenaline, cortisol.
It's totally worked up.
Right, the battle is officially over, but his body just hasn't gotten the memo.
And because this is a universe where physics and magic seem to be roommates, that rage doesn't just give him high blood pressure, it actually manifests externally.
Yes.
The source describes a literal blast of rage shooting out of his body.
And this is the critical mechanic to understand for this entire universe. In standard Marvel or DC stuff, superpowers are usually tools. You turn them on, you turn them off.
Right, like a flashlight.
Exactly. Here, the power is directly connected to the emotion, and the emotion is incredibly volatile. The blast isn't a weapon Lott Sin actively chose to fire. It's a discharge. It's a total loss of control.
It's like an emotional sneeze that just levels a city block. But it didn't just knock down buildings, right?
No.
The source describes the effect as being almost contagious.
Precisely. It wasn't just a physical shockwave of force. The text says the rage traveled through the city of Trite. It acted like a viral agent. The civilians, the very people Lott Sin was supposed to be saving, they went crazy.
That is just terrifying. Imagine you're walking down the street, you're happy the bad guys lost, and suddenly you're hit by a wave of pure, unadulterated anger.
And you just turn on your neighbor. The text describes a complete civil collapse, people viciously attacking each other. It's essentially a zombie apocalypse, but the virus is just pure, unfiltered aggression projected by the city's hero.
So Rage War 1 isn't a war between two opposing armies. It's a war of everyone against everyone.
Triggered by the one single person who is supposed to keep the peace. I mean, think about the psychological scar that leaves on a culture.
Yeah.
The city wasn't destroyed by the villain's doomsday device. It was destroyed because the hero couldn't calm down.
Which effectively ends the city entirely. The source explicitly says they destroyed most of Trite. So the setting is just gone, the stage is completely burned down.
And this is where the world building shifts from being just a single story into a sprawling universe. Because the city's destroyed, the survivors have to leave, the text mentions a massive migration. And they didn't just move to the next town over, they scattered.
Right, it says they built fantastic new cities, plural.
That plural is so important, it implies deep fragmentation. Before, everyone was centralized in Trite. Now, they're splitting off into different tribes, different ideological groups.
And the source frames this as a huge diversity explosion. It says this scattering led to extreme diversity.
Which logically makes sense.
Which brings us to the city guides.
Yes.
This is the part of the lore that really, really stuck out to me. Every new city in this universe apparently comes with its own user manual.
I love this concept so much. It's such a brilliant narrative device that tells you everything about the state of this world. Why do you need a guide? Because the world is entirely new and it is wildly unfamiliar.
Yeah, you can't just walk into a new city and know the rules anymore.
Exactly. Because the old rules, Trite's rules, are dead.
So the source lists what's actually in these guides. It's got history, themes, popular businesses. It sounds honestly like a travel brochure for a post-apocalyptic RPG.
It's essentially bureaucracy trying to manage trauma and chaos.
Right, but then it lists signature recipes.
Yes. I actually think it's a profoundly human reaction to trauma. Think about it. What is the exact opposite of rage? What is the opposite of destruction?
I guess creation.
It's creation, and very specifically, domestic, controlled creation. Cooking is nurturing, it's structured. You follow a set of steps, and you get a reliable result. It's safe.
Wow. So the recipes are basically a massive societal coping mechanism.
Absolutely. In a world where a superhero might literally explode if he gets too mad, sitting down to a nice, predictable, warm meal is a radical act of sanity. It grounds the fantasy. It tells us these are real people trying to survive, not just action figures smashing into each other.
That makes a lot of sense, actually. But the guides aren't just cookbooks either. They also contain do's and don'ts.
Which I interpret as strict survival rules.
And, quote, extremely funny and very controversial information.
That is such a fascinating line. Controversial information. It suggests that these new fantastic cities aren't actually utopias. They're messy. They have dark secrets.
And they have gossip. The tone definitely seems to be that everyone is just talking smack about everyone else.
It creates a real sense of lived-in reality. These cities have complex politics. They have scandals. And if the information is quote-unquote controversial, it implies that the official history, the widely accepted history of Lott Sin and Trite, might be hotly debated.
Oh, like revisionist history.
Right. Maybe some cities think Lott Sin was a tragic victim. Maybe others think he was a straight-up monster.
Let's talk about the money. Because if you think the recipes are oddly specific, the economy is an absolute nightmare. The source says the characters are so competitive until they even created currencies for each of their cities.
Which is just a disastrous economic policy.
Right. I mean, if I have New City dollars and you have Cougar Town coin, how do we even trade?
You don't. That is exactly the point. This detail reveals the sheer depth of the isolationism going on here. After Trite fell, trust hit absolute zero.
Nobody trusts anyone.
Nobody trusts the central authority anymore because the last central authority, Lott Sin, blew up the world. So every single city becomes a complete autarky. They want total control. We control our food, our laws, and our money.
It's hyper-tribalism.
Exactly. And when you have hyper-tribalism combined with an inability to engage in normal trade, what do you get?
War.
You get conflict, which perfectly explains the other items on the list in the source text. It mentions fantastic weapons and armor and futuristic spacecrafts. You don't build fantastic weapons if you are at peace with your neighbors.
Right.
You build them because you don't accept their currency and you think their signature recipe is garbage.
It paints a picture of a universe that is incredibly vibrant, but just so tense. Everyone is heavily armed, everyone is cooking aggressively, and everyone is gossiping about the neighbors they refuse to trade with.
It's a Cold War with a culinary twist.
A Cold War with a culinary twist. I love that. So I want to look at the stuff in this universe a bit more because the source gives us this laundry list of genres that Vandale has just thrown into the blender, We've got magic and science coexisting.
Which, historically in fiction, is always a volatile mix.
We've got superheroes and supervillains, obviously. But then we have New Age robots.
That phrase New Age really sticks out, doesn't it?
It really does. What does that even mean in this context? Are the robots into healing crystals and astrology? Or does New Age mean they are literally the new age of humanity?
I suspect it implies a different kind of consciousness.
Yeah.
Maybe these aren't your standard clunky industrial robots. Maybe they're somehow enlightened. Or maybe, think about this, in a universe completely destroyed by human rage, robots are seen as the new age because they don't have emotions. They are the safe alternative to Lott Sin. A robot won't get pumped with rage and level your city.
That is a really cool theory. The robots are the logical answer to the rage problem, but then you have magic sitting right next to it, which is inherently chaotic. It feels like Vandale is just grabbing everything he loves and smashing it all together.
And he actually admits as much. There's a meta note right in the source text where Vandale says, "I'm the only content creator of this original comic book universe."
With only in all caps.
Yes, he is practically shouting it at the reader. He wants you to know this isn't some corporate boardroom decision. This isn't a committee trying to maximize 4-quadrant demographic appeal. This is one person's highly specific, highly eccentric vision.
Which totally explains the inconsistencies, or rather the eclecticism. A corporate committee would say, hey, maybe don't put soup recipes in the superhero origin story. But Vandale says, no, I like recipes, they stay.
And that's what gives it a soul. It feels almost like an outsider art project, but on a massive galactic scale. It's messy, it's insanely ambitious, and it's deeply personal. From me to all of you, he basically says.
So I want to circle back to the do's and don'ts in the city guides. We touched on them, but I'm thinking about the practical application for you as a citizen. If you are living in a city founded by the traumatized survivors of a rage blast, what is the absolute #1 don't?
It has to be don't lose your temper.
It has to be, right?
It has to be. The entire social contract of this universe is highly likely built around strict emotional regulation. If all the history books say, our ancestors died because a guy got too angry, then public displays of strong emotion might literally be illegal.
Which makes the controversial information part even more spicy. Maybe the big controversy is people breaking those emotional rules, like secret underground fight clubs where people just go to let off steam.
Or rage speakeasies.
Rage speakeasies.
It's a fascinating thought experiment. Because how do you legislate against a feeling? And if you forcibly suppress it, does it just build up pressure for Rage War 2?
That is the ticking clock in the background of this whole setting, isn't it? Calling it Rage War 1 directly implies a sequel is coming.
History rarely happens just once.
And man, we still don't know what happened to the Cougarmen. Did they migrate too?
Well, the source says many characters migrated. It doesn't discriminate between good guys and bad guys, so it's highly probable that there's an entire fantastic new city out there, run exclusively by former Cougarmen.
What does that city guide look like?
Probably very efficient. Great uniforms, terrible dental plan.
And their signature recipe is just like raw meat on a plate.
Cougar chow.
But seriously, the idea of a universe where the supposed villains and heroes are just neighbors in different city-states, trading gossip and avoiding eye contact at the galactic supermarket, it's kind of refreshing. It breaks that boring good versus evil binary and just turns it into us versus them.
It creates a much more complex geopolitical landscape. The goal isn't just to go defeat the Dark Lord. It's how do we coexist with the guys who used to work for the Dark Lord, who now happen to run a heavily armed bakery in the next star system.
That is a sitcom I would definitely watch.
It's a drama I'd read.
So, we've unpacked a lot of material here today. We went from a totally standard superhero fistfight to a complete civilizational collapse caused by what is essentially emotional incontinence.
A literal blast of rage.
We saw the survivors flee the smoking ruins of Trite to build a hyper-fragmented universe of competitive, recipe-sharing city-states.
All driven by a deep-seated trauma that manifests as a desperate need for control, which we see manifesting in those city guides and the separate, isolated currencies.
And we have a creator, Vandale, who is just joyfully stitching this all together with robots, magic, and a very loud insistence that he's doing every bit of it by himself.
It's a huge testament to the power of asking, what if? What if the hero didn't actually save the day? What if the hero was the disaster? And what kind of weird, wonderful, paranoid world grows out of that specific crater?
It really makes you think about the stories we tell ourselves. We love the victory moment. But in the short story universe, the victory is literally just the start of the headache.
The victory is the apocalypse.
I'm gonna leave you, our listeners, with something to chew on. Perhaps while you cook your own signature stew tonight. If this whole universe is a direct reaction to one man losing control of his emotions, are the strict rules of the new cities, those do's and don'ts, actually working, or are they just a pressure cooker waiting to blow?
Right. Can you actually legislate peace? Or are you just delaying the next blast?
This has been a really fascinating deep dive into a truly unique bit of lore. Thanks for exploring the chaos of Trite and beyond with us.
It was a pleasure to unpack all the madness.
Keep your emotions in check, everyone. We don't want a rage war here. Thanks for listening. Goodbye.
Thanks for watching. Want to support the channel directly? My PayPal link is down in the description and also on my homepage. It helps me with creating more epic comic book content for this channel. Stay curious, keep imagining, and I'll see you in the next video.